Hello mini makers, today we'll be making a chillet from Palword. We will begin with the basic shapes. Add a curve to make the body, subdivide the curve, and move the vertices to get a desired shape. You can add some volume by going to the Curve tab, then the Bevel section in the Geometry section. You can also use Alt-S to change the size of any individual vertex. To make the head, add a sphere and very simple shapes in sculpt mode. Make sure symmetry is enabled and use the snake hook tool. We can then add more spheres and shape them in the Z dimension to get pieces of the hair on the side of the head. Now moving on to the spines on the back, add a cube, subdivide surfaces, and move the vertices around until you get the shape that you would like to have. We can then mirror the spines using the curved body as a mirror object. We can then add cubes for the arms, subdivide surfaces, and then add edge loops in edit mode to make them more square. Moving on to the feet, add cubes, subdivide surfaces, and add edge loops and move them towards the bottom of the foot to give them a flat appearance on the bottom. To make the ears, add a sphere, size it in the Z dimension. Then with X-Layer mode enabled, you can select 8 vertices, move them in the Z dimension using the Edge Slide tool by double tapping G, and then you can select 8 vertices in between the vertices that you had previously selected, and edge slide them in the opposite direction to get the pattern seen on the ears. We can then touch up the shape of the body in sculpt mode before we convert the body to a mesh. We can move on to the head to make a better form with the snake hook tool, the inflate tool, and the smooth tool. We can add some geometry using dynamic typology by changing the resolution in the dynamic typology tab, setting your inflate tool to 0, and then drawing on some geometry with the inflate tool. We can then move on to making the mouth by using the mask tool, inverting the mask, and then pushing the mouth inwards using the draw tool. We can make the tongue by adding a sphere and use proportional editing in the sculpt tools to get a tongue-like shape. Now we can draw the eyes, which I prefer to do for Pokemons and Pals because it looks closer to the game art. We can use the mask tool, invert the mask, and then use the inflate mesh filter tool to push the eyes in. Then we can do the opposite to make the pupils and the iris. We can now move on to making the scales in the front by using the mask tool to make the general shape. Invert the mask, then use the inflate mesh filter tool to push out the scales. Use a combination of the smooth tool and the crease tool in the positive dimension to get a sharper center line. We can then finish it off by using the multi-plane scrape tool. Next, we can use the snake tool to make the tufts of hair that come out of the back of the tail. After we boolean the head and the body, we can smooth out any connections between the body and the head using the smooth tool and the clay strips tool. To make the pattern on the body, use the mask tool to draw the general shape of the pattern, and then use the inflate mesh filter tool to push the body slightly outward. If you're liking the video so far, please remember to subscribe. It would be very helpful for this video. We can continue with the scales in the back, which are done by using the mask tool to make them look like diamonds. Then we can invert the mask and use the inflate mesh filter tool to push them out of the body. Now we can add some detail to the foot, which is done simply by flattening the tip of the foot and using the crease tool to make some paw lines. Now we can move on to painting the body in sculpt mode. Using the paint tools, and this process is simply selecting the colors you would like to paint with. When making these models, I always find certain things about the character design that I enjoy a lot, and making these models makes me have a deeper appreciation for the character models. So I'll just share a couple things that I found that I really enjoy about Chillet. The first thing is the paws on the front of the body. They're kind of unique because they are more square and long without having any claws, paws, or individual toes and fingers. I also enjoy the color palette itself, which is just multiple kinds of blue. This speaks to a very simple design and a simple color palette, where I feel nowadays a lot of designs tend to overthink it, and in their attempt to make something very, very unique, they tend to lose themselves in design. This is a big reason why I really enjoy Pokemon designs and palette designs. If you like the model and want to find a free 3D printable version, please go to my printables page in the description and download for yourself. If you would like to support more videos and more models, please support me on my Patreon page.